right, welcome. We're going to do a real quick video this time. I want to react to a very common trope I hear on the right. I think I'm going to connect it to, like, there's a version of this on the left as well. But it is this idea, and I'm going to pull up this Jordan Peterson interview real quick. And it is this, here, let's just watch this, set the stage real quick.
Glad I put you on the spot.
Well, I'm very being offensive because in order to
right not to be offended. Freedom of speech. Trump, a trans person's. Why
well, that's what they said it was designed to do.
Okay, you cited freedom of speech in that. Why should your right to freedom of speech trump a trans person's right not to be offended?
Because in order to be able to think, you have to risk being offensive. I mean, look at the conversation we're having right now. You know, like, you're certainly willing to risk offending me in the pursuit of truth. Why should you have the right to do that? It's been rather uncomfortable.
Well, I'm very...
So this clip goes on where she appears a little flustered, and I've seen some Jordan Peterson fanboys really enjoying it. But I think that's really the meat of it. And it gets at this concept that I think people who, you know, Milo Yiannopoulos or Jordan Peterson, or people who really lean into that, I'm going to say incendiary things, I'm going to throw a bomb into a crowd and watch it explode, metaphorically speaking. They fall back on this notion of, and I see this a lot on Twitter too, they fall back on this notion of, if you're not being offensive, you're not actually thinking. And I couldn't agree more with this concept. Now, it has been part of the dialogue on the right. Man, where did my audio go? Hold on. There it is. Okay, I'm going to go cut this out. I thought my audio wasn't recording. Anyway, so this has been part of the right's kind of discourse for a long time, going all the way back to Rush Limbaugh. In fact, I remember once hearing Rush Limbaugh say something to the effect of, or maybe it was George Will, actually. Anyway, I think it was Rush Limbaugh. But it was something to the, I know those are complete, total opposites, but it was something to the effect of basically they didn't want anybody who wanted to be liked as a presidential candidate because, you know, basically to do what conservatives want to do, everybody's going to hate you. And so they needed someone who was willing to offend everybody. And of course, years later, we end up with Trump, who goes out of his way to offend everybody, right? And there's so much gray area between those two, right? So I don't disagree entirely with what Peterson is saying here, because I actually agree with him. I don't think anybody has a right not to be offended. And I think Kathy, if I were talking to Kathy Newman myself, I would say, hey, it's not that we're trying to offend people. It's just we want to be clear about protecting the right to free speech. And because it's very difficult to nail down, you know, what is hate speech, what is, you know, speech that is meant to be discriminating, what is whatever, like, we'd rather err on the side of allowing speech as opposed to restricting speech, especially in our universities where it really is about thinking, and those risks are even higher. But also, at the same time, acknowledging that language is used as a tool to discriminate. Because I do think that's an important thing to acknowledge. And so you can actually take the other side's emotions seriously while you disagree with them. And I know this is a really bold concept, but it's totally doable. And so what I challenge people who think like this, that, hey, I'm going to offend people because I'm a free thinker, is to understand that you're actually not being a free thinker when you think that. You are in reaction constantly to somebody else's feelings and emotion. And you are, whether you're an instigator and you're trying to get a reaction from them and get attention for yourself, or whether you're just really frustrated by their ideas and you're poking holes in it. But just being reactive or critical of somebody else's ideas does not make you, a really truly holistically speaking independent thinker. I think what makes you an independent thinker is both having your own impressions of the world, but also understanding that the world is bigger than you and that other people have their own impressions of the world too. And just because they disagree with yours doesn't mean that they are stupid or less than or wrong necessarily, because I got a little secret for you. Almost everybody's right about something, right? And if you're constantly have this kind of defensive, reactionary approach to your thinking, you're actually going to be, in my opinion, wrong a lot more often than you're going to be right. So I think to really redefine what we think about as free thinking, I think we have to be less reactionary, and we have to understand that you can both acknowledge the existence of people who disagree with you and embrace them as good, even smart people, while maintaining your position. Because otherwise, you're just being reactionary, and it's just it's a totally different thing. Anyway, I've said my piece on that. I don't know if this was actually valuable for for anyone, but this kind of shit pisses me off, and I don't know, I don't have any monetization yet, so I don't have to worry about it. But anyway, have a good one. I'll be back with something else shortly.